Huawei made a lot of noise last year. Both their phablet, the Ascend Mate, and their flagship, the Ascend P6, did very well. The latter being the then slimmest smartphone, coming in at just under 6.2mm. 2014 seems to be a different story though, with Huawei's Chinese compatriots OnePlus and Xiaomi creating waves with what can only be called disruptive pricing, and others like Vivo and Oppo resorting to releasing devices with ultra high-end specs like QHD displays and VOOC chargers. Huawei seems lost in the shuffle. Recently, Huawei launched their 2014 flagship, the Ascend P7. So, does the P7 have enough to turn the focus back onto Huawei? Well, that's what we aim to find out in this video. So, if this is your first time here, or in case you're all confused trying to pronounce so many Chinese brand names, my name's Ash and you're watching C4E Tech. Let's get started. First, let's start with the built-in design. With the Ascend P6, Huawei set the bar high, and the P7 more or less matches it. There are a few changes, some good, some not so much, but like they say, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, its perspective. So here goes. The P7's a little thicker at 6.5mm, but with good reason. Huawei is packed in a higher capacity battery here, 2500 mAh, that's 500 mAh more. The display is also bigger at 5 inches and packs in a higher resolution. It's Full HD this time around. Gone's the 4-metal plastic back replaced by Gorilla Glass 3. Despite all this, the P7 weighs just a few grams more than its predecessor. Remarkable. While we have metal to the top and the sides, the curved bottom's plastic, and here we find the primary microphone and the micro USB port. There's nothing to the left. Up top, we have the secondary noise cancelling microphone and the 3.5mm headphone jack. To the right, we have the volume rockers, power button, and 2 slots. Here's where things get interesting. Slot 1 is for micro SIM cards and supports LTE. Slot 2 is market dependent. In some markets, it's a nano SIM slot. In others, it's a microSD card slot. But this variant that you see here in this video, on this, it's both. You could either pop in a microSD card or use a nano SIM. Unique. To the front, we have the earpiece, sensors, and an 8-megapixel shooter with a backside illuminated sensor. Lower below, the 5-inch Full HD IPS display, and at the bottom, Huawei branding. To the back, we have the 13-megapixel rear camera, a single LED flash, Huawei branding, and at the bottom, a single speaker. The overall design seems inspired by the iPhone and to an extent even the Xperia line from Sony, but the end product does look great, feels premium, and more importantly, is one of the very few flagships that is actually easy to use single-handed. Moving on to the display, the 5-inch Full HD IPS display on the Ascend P7 gives it a pixel density of 441 pixels per inch. Everything's sharp, the color reproduction's good, blacks are deep, great contrast, and it's also pretty bright. Viewing angles are great too. The screen's a bit reflective though, so a sunlight visibility is just average. Next up, let's talk about what's underneath the hood. The Ascend P7 is powered by the Hisilicon Kirin T910 chipset. This houses 4 Cortex A9 cores clocked at 1.8 GHz each, coupled with a Mali 450 MP GPU and 2 GB of RAM. Both the CPU and GPU are in the latest around, aging hardware actually, and this reflects in the synthetic benchmarks. And even in real-time scenarios, don't expect the Ascend P7 to run top-of-the-line games smoothly. The GPU is more at ease running games that aren't quite as intensive. The audio quality is another area that doesn't quite live up to flagship levels. The rear audio speaker is not the loudest we've heard and is quite easy to block when holding the phone. While the audio quality via the included earphones isn't all that good, it's more due to the earphones themselves. In fact, we got excellent results when we tested the Ascend P7 with our favorite Meze 73 Classics. These are made out of real wood, and by the way, you can pick these up from mezeheadphones.com. They're great headphones and offer amazing audio quality. Anyway, all this is powered by a 2500 mAh non-user replaceable battery, and the battery life is pretty decent. To put that into numbers, on a looping video playback test, the Ascend P7 lasted just under 8.5 hours before running out of juice. With moderate usage, getting through a day on a single charge shouldn't be an issue. Now let's move on to the camera. The 13-megapixel rear shooter can take some impressive pictures. Images are sharp. Like with most cameras these days, color reproduction is spot on. There's a lot of detail and noise is kept to a minimum. Low light performance, on the other hand, is nothing to write home about. Then we have the 8 megapixel front-facing camera. Again, a decent shooter. Produces some great selfies. If you are willing to sacrifice a bit of detail, Huawei's beauty mode will help rid you of any skin blemishes, on photos at least. Huawei's even thrown in a panorama mode for the front shooter. Talking about panorama, the rear camera's 360-degree panorama mode deserves a mention here. Both cameras can also shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second, and the quality is quite good. Now coming to the UI, it's pretty simplistic. The virtual shutter key to the right, options to the left. Well organized, clearly labeled, doesn't really get in your way. With the front-facing camera, the UI even tells you where to look to get a perfect selfie. Then we have the Ultra Snapshot option. With your display off, you just need to hit the down volume key twice and the rear camera takes a picture. It even shows you how long it took to take that picture. While it does sacrifice focus at times, it is very useful when you just want to shoot something real quick. Now let's move on to the software. Out of the box, the Huawei Ascend P7 runs on Android 4.4.2 with Huawei's own Emotion UI 2.3 on top. Like with most Chinese manufacturers, Huawei has chosen to omit the app drawer, so all your apps go onto the home screen. But the UI is pretty customizable. You have a bunch of themes to choose from and they let you change everything from the wallpaper to the icons and even the lock screen. The notification bar has 5 quick toggles visible and you can pull down to reveal another 12. You also have an option to hide the on-screen keys. You can bring them back up with a quick swipe from the bottom. Alternatively, you can choose to not use them entirely and use Huawei's suspend button instead. The suspend button also lets you launch quite a few floating apps, turn off the display and lock the phone, and even clear background processes. The Ascend P7 also has some deep power management options. Overall, while the UI is a huge departure from stock KitKat, it does bring with it its fair share of features and performs reasonably well. For the most part, there's very little lag. Finally, we get to the price. The Ascend P7 is priced much lower compared to current gen flagships from most manufacturers, and we feel that's a pretty sensible move. So what do we have here? The Ascend P7 has quite a bit going for it. Beautiful build, great display, a camera that performs well, decent battery life, and sensible pricing. But on the other hand, it falters quite a bit too. Speakers aren't great, the software, while good, might not be for everyone, and the biggest issue is the fact that the performance is more on par with flagships from last year. Well, it's not a bad phone by any means. It can handle moderately intensive tasks quite well and can also look really good doing it. It just doesn't have anything that makes it a must-buy, nothing to get the focus back on Huawei, nothing to stand out. So, if a great-looking phone that offers modest performance while not breaking the bank is what you want, the P7 might just be it. But on the other hand, if it's performance that you seek, you'll have to look elsewhere. So with that being said, if you do want to pick up an Ascend P7, you can do that from merrymobiles.com. I'll leave a direct link right below the like button in the description. And with that, we now get to the end of this review. Hope you guys liked it, hope you found it useful. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up, and for more videos like these, do stay subscribed. So until next time, this is Ash here from C4A Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.